Are you a parent? Are you a parent? If so, this podcast episode is for you. Welcome to another edition of Connecting Faith and Life. I'm your host, Mr. Brown with Proclaim Ministries, and our goal is to help kids and teens connect faith and life and to equip adults to disciple them. So actually, everything we do is help you, who's ever watching or listening, connect faith and life. Well, this episode is I'm sharing with you something that I've done in the past, 3 years ago, actually. For those who don't know, I have a lot of podcasts. I've had a lot of different podcasts that started and stopped. Had one called The Mr. Brown Show, and it was my attempt to be able to just share my views on politics, world, parenting, whatever, all kind of things. Well, I've stopped that podcast and I'm rebranding it as the Ask Mr. Brown Kids Edition. I give my perspective on kids' questions. I get kids from around the world who send me questions to get my perspective on, because I have a lot of videos, if you don't know, through the Choose Well program online. And kids are watching my videos in their classrooms. I do a lot of visits at schools. I really enjoy it. So I want to be able to create this podcast, not just with video format, which it is. Ask Mr. Brown Kids Edition is a video on YouTube and also on our website. So you can visit askmrbrown.com to find out more about it. But I wanted to make it a podcast where parents can listen to it in the car with their kids, or they can play it while kids are doing chores. I wanted to give them a non-screen option to get good content. So in the process of rebranding that podcast from the Ask Mr. Brown Show to Ask Mr. Brown Kids, I found an episode that I recorded 3 years ago, and it got over 2,000 some downloads. And I'm like, that was a lot of downloads compared to my other downloads. And so I figured, you know what, maybe this was good content that people really resonated with about parenting. And so the title of the podcast was Please Parents, Start Doing This or Stop Doing This. Can't remember exactly, but I was just appealing to parents about we need to speak up to our kids and be probably the biggest and most important voice in their lives. And that includes on these tough topics that sometimes hit our world through politics, unfortunately. A lot of different things we talk to kids about. So I wanted to share that video with you through this podcast because it was so popular there. So I'm not going to keep talking. I'm going to actually show you the entire podcast of me talking in my old podcast called The Mr. Brown Show. One day I may relaunch that through a different format. I think it's important to be able to give our voice in the public arena, because I said this in a video, you'll hear it over and over again, that loud voices aren't always right, but silent voices can't be heard. So check this podcast out. Hope you enjoy it. So this is The Mr. Brown Show on Connecting Faith and Life. Yeah, here we go.
Hello, Mr. Brown.
Well, everyone, welcome to this edition of The Mr. Brown Show. Real talk, real life, real choices, helping you make better choices to live a better life and choose well. Let me see if I got my soundboard right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's all about choices. And I'm kind of amped today because I've been doing a lot of speaking. I'm going into more schools. I just got back from some churches. And I'm just excited about what I get to do. Just did a teacher training with a bunch of two different professional developments, actually three. Like I said, I've been busy, and I just had a phone call with an administrator, and I just want to share something. This isn't aimed at the administrators or educators. This is for parents. Parents, this episode, this rant, this talk, I don't want to call it a rant. I just want to speak to you as a parent and as someone who works with kids. And my message is this: please talk to your kids. Converse with your kids. Have conversations with your kids about nothing, everything, and the most important things of the day. We got to be able to talk to our kids about it. And I know some of this stuff is age appropriate, but listen, I just did an episode recently, and I forgot which podcast. I have several podcasts that I said this on, but this has kind of been one of my mantras lately is this: loud voices aren't always right, but silent voices can't be heard. And this can apply to the political world we're in today. Like, everything's political and people are yelling and screaming at each other. I believe we need to have less accusations and more conversations. But I think we need to have conversations with our kids. Parents, please. This podcast is for parents. Please talk to your kids, because this applies to you as well. Loud voices aren't always right, but silent voices can't be heard. And our kids are drowning with silence from us as adults who know some things and we're not sharing them because we're embarrassed. It's uncomfortable. They need us because they're listening to loud voices. So let me tell you what happened. I had a phone call. I spoke at a school last year and they're bringing me back. And last year when I was at this school, During the assembly, one of the kids asked me, what do I think about pronouns? And I said, wow, I'll talk to you about that later, but let me say this. No matter what the subject is, whether it's abortion, transgender rights, whatever, gay rights, all these things, at the end of the day, these are more than topics. These are people. These are people that deserve respect, that we need to honor them because I believe they all have value. And it's okay to disagree with people. You can disagree, but commit to decency, commit to cooperate. But people can have different views. So I didn't say right there what I thought because I knew the person who was asking me had this bent toward, if you don't agree with me, then you're wrong. You're transphobic. And turns out it was true. Had a conversation later and blew up. All the kids that believe the same thing called me names, got on TikTok, and said I would never respect transgender people. And that's not what I said. And the nice thing is some of the kids who saw that post responded back and said, no, he didn't say that. This is what he said. And what I'm afraid of is that the silent voices aren't heard because we don't want to offend a certain group of people. So we just let it go. And so I talked to the administrator about coming back and she said, hey, things were great. 2 issues, something I said that one parent got upset about. But then this issue came up and she said, well, please, maybe don't talk about those subjects, transgender, sexual stuff or LGBTQ, just don't talk about those things. So I said, hey, I'm here to serve you. There's other topics. So if the kids bring up those subjects, I will simply say the school's asked me not to talk about those things. And she said, the reason is that the parents in this community don't want to talk. They don't talk to kids about these things. And so when it's brought up at school, they're upset. They don't want to talk about it. And my thing is, you have to talk about it, parents. The kids are hearing about it. If they have cell phones, if their friends have cell phones, these kids are watching, listening to stuff on TikTok, Instagram. They're hearing the loud voices talk about these things only in one direction usually. And then by the time we get to talk to them about it, they've made up their minds. They think something's wrong with us because we haven't talked about it. And I'm not telling you which side to be on. I'm saying talk to your kids. If you want your values to get across to your kids, even the tough subjects, talk to them about those tough subjects. We've talked to our kids about these things, and our kids in our home are 7 and 11, and we talked about those, and we continue to talk about these things. We started a couple years ago talking about the transgender thing because one of the kids showed up to school who the year before was a girl, this year came back as a boy. My daughter, what is this about? Hey, we had to talk to her about it. Actually, we talked to her before we heard about what's going to happen. So we talk to our kids about these things. And it can be hard, but listen, I want my kids to be able to talk to me about these things. I want my values, our family values. I want to teach my kids these things. Yeah, it's one thing to pull kids out of schools, and if that's what's best for your family, do that. But that doesn't alleviate you from the conversations about these tough things. And what I think one of the best remedies for talking to kids about the tough things is talk to them about nothing. Let them talk to you about absolutely nothing in the car. Turn off the music sometimes. Turn off the podcast. And just sit there and willing to be silent in this case to let them talk. Some of my best conversation with my daughter is in the car. Well, that's not quite true because me and her talk all the time about all kind of things. So we are talkative people, as she says. But, many times she leads the conversation when I pick her up from youth group or something because she's talking about everything and talking about this happened, pick her up from school. All these things happen. And I'll let them talk and I'll listen. And I just don't just be silent. I'm not thinking, I'm listening actively and asking questions. Can you clarify this? So she did that, or what is that word in Spanish that you learned, or what did you do, and what did your teacher say? I'm asking questions for clarification because I'm paying attention. Because listen, when you talk and listen to your kids talk, you have conversations with your kids about what we may think is nothing or not that important stuff, they're willing to listen to you when it comes to the tough stuff, the deep things, because you built that relationship over time. Yes, we can act like ostriches, but that has proven not to work. We can't put our heads in the sand and go, oh, I don't want to talk about that because our world is screaming these subjects. They're talking about them. What are your views? And the truth is your kids want to know your views on these things. I remember being in a middle school, we're in a group of leadership kids, and me and the principal asked this question. These are 8th graders, and they were starting their sex ed program. And I said, hey, who do you want to learn sex about? Who do you want to hear tell you about sex? How many want to hear from your parents? Every kid raised their hand. They rather hear from their parents than anyone else. but the parents are scared. As a matter of fact, I remember doing another workshop where we actually talked with parents and kids, had them in different rooms, and the subject was sex. We did this in Kansas because we did sex education there, and we asked the parents, hey, who do you think your kids want to hear from, or from sex, and ask the same things. The parents were waiting on the kids, and the kids were waiting on the parents. Kids were waiting on the parents to bring it up, and parents were waiting on the kids to bring it up. But nobody's bringing it up, so no one was talking about it. And here's the deal. I believe this is part of human nature. People will fill voids. If there's a lack of information, people will find the answers for them. People will fill the void. That's just human nature. If there's something missing and I want to know the truth, someone is not telling me, I'm going to go find my answer myself. I'm going to figure it out. And the kids are doing the same thing. And I know it's scary to talk about these things, but it's so important. But again, the key to talking about the tough stuff is talking about nothing and listening to nothing, and even going into their world. If your kids are excited about some video game and they're always playing, go learn about the game. Who cares if you're ever going to play it? Let them teach you all about the game, because that makes them excited. I was on a trip and I bought my kids a Wii game. It was at the Goodwill. It was a snowboarding game. I thought it would be fun because we have the Wii thing you can stand on and you can, do all kind of fitness stuff with it. And that snowboard game has that. The game was like $3. I'm like, I bought the game. Came back, played it once with the kids. And then they began to play with it and they started to learn all the stuff, the ins and outs. They are so excited about this game. So guess what? At some point, both me and my wife come and play the game with them, watch them play, let them show me all the tricks, even tried to play the game and let them show me how to do the tricks. I wasn't that great at it. My kids will crush me in it. But the point is, I'm listening to them. I'm going into their world to learn from them. That gives me credibility. That gives me collateral, so to speak, to be able to talk and them listen to me about other things as well. So I want to plead with you, parents. There's a lot of topics going on out in the world today, from the CRT stuff that you're only going to be successful based on your race, the transgender, the LGBTQ, abortion rights, all these things that our world is all talking about. And the loud voices, again, are not always right. But our silent voices cannot be heard. We need to speak up and talk to our kids about these subjects, because what's going to happen to some of us is this. We're going to be silent for all these years. By the time they become teenagers, we talk about them, and they're going to be in a total opposite spectrum than we are. And we're trying to now fight them about these things when we could have just been talking, having a conversation on a regular basis. Because here's the deal. I've talked to some of these kids about these issues, and my favorite thing when kids already have their minds made up about things is simply to ask questions. Help them take their thoughts to the logical conclusion. And many of them, and then give them a different point of view, and I go, I never thought about that. Yeah, because they haven't heard anything differently. They've only heard one side from the TikTok, from all these things. And speaking of TikTok, I'm never one to, hey, get your kids off TikTok. I'm not that one. I think some of these platforms you can learn a lot of good stuff from them. But TikTok is one. I had to get off TikTok because of the violation. I made a whole podcast about that. I'll put it in the description below and a little link if it's on YouTube. But about why I got off, their violation of not violation. I said this: the validation of me being on TikTok was outweighed by the validation of my privacy. Like, they violate my privacy. Like, not only do they have access to everything on my phone, they can see my keystrokes. This is in their policy. Not only that, they can connect. If I've never even been on TikTok on my laptop, they still have access to my laptop through my phone, which is bananas, all right? Just crazy. So I got off TikTok. And so I would say even this: hey, if your kid's on TikTok, talk about the policies. Ask them if they think this is a good idea or not before you take them off. And that's the thing. I think sometimes as parents, we hear about these things and we just run at it and go, we're going to do this. No, have a conversation first. At the end of the day, you are the parent. So you can, have a conversation with them, help them understand why, ask them questions. But at the end of the day, you still get to make the choice, because the bottom line, listen, this is your phone. If your child is under the age of 18, they cannot be in a contract with a cell phone carrier. You are in that contract. This is your device you let them use. And that's the perspective they need to have, that this is yours. You get to let them use it. Like my mama told me, this is my house, that room you get to use, right? Because it's not a mean way, but like a clarifying way. To be clear, I think our jobs as parents is a tough job. It's a rewarding job, but we got to stand up and make some better rules, I think, some better boundaries for our kids to help them grow in a more healthier way. And I think one of the greatest ways to do that is having conversations with them. So please, parents, I beg you, talk about some of these hard issues. I know it's hard. but it's beneficial for them long term. It may be hard in the short term, but long term is good. Because I think the world has changed. When I was growing up, and maybe you as a parent was growing up, we had our big three. Our big three were sex, drugs, and alcohol. Those are the conversations our parents struggled to talk to us about. And many of us learned about those three things outside the home and not in the home. What we learned about in the home was don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Never heard the motivation why, never understood the consequences, except, I'll be honest with you, I heard, if you do it, your stuff's going to fall off. You'll get STD, bring home a baby. Those are the things. But there's more than that. There's emotional things that happen to a guy and a girl when you get involved with someone sexually or even just in deep relationships. So I think we have those conversations about all the nuance that happens when these things, drugs. Why do some people use drugs? What happens when you get addicted to drugs? What if you don't get addicted, but your friends get addicted? What if, have those deeper conversations about more nuance and just don't do it. Yeah, that's a command, but help them understand and have conversations about it. Those are the big three for us. But now the big three is a little changed. It's changed a lot, I think. The sex, drugs, and alcohol are still there. I would put those under, I will put it this way. The big three today is substance abuse or substance misuse. I like that term, substance misuse. Sex is still there, and then social media. So there's 3 S's. Substance misuse, like using substances, whether that would be vaping, drugs, illegal drugs, whether that is alcohol, those things, those are substances that are abused. And there's many more out there now that these kids are doing that just blow my mind. And then there's sex, of course, that's part of, natural relationships. What does that mean? When's the right time for it? All those things. And then there is the social media. It's huge because I think some of our kids and even some adults are getting our value from social media. And the influence is amazing to me that you can have people post stuff on TikTok and you got kids willing to destroy their own bathrooms at school. They're willing to destroy their own reputation. They're willing to commit sexual assault over these things that somebody they don't even know posted. It's trended. A bunch of people supposedly are doing it, so they do it to fit in. That blows my mind that you're willing. This is so powerful that they're willing to destroy their own reputation and their future to get approval for someone they never met, they've never seen. I think that's too much power. That's too much influence. And I say this all the time, but I was talking to a group of students and I said this statement, hey, how many feel like you don't matter? Girls like, I feel like I don't matter. I said, what would make you feel like you more matter? If I had more Instagram followers. They are looking to these platforms for acceptance, approval, and affirmation. And I believe they should be getting that from their community. They should be getting it from home first, in our home, to make sure our kids are getting those things. So we all need that. We all need AAA, I call it. Affirmation, acceptance, and approval, right? Did I say that right? Yeah, affirmation, acceptance, approval. We all need that. But they should not be getting that from social media because so much of that is flawed in a lot of ways. It's not real. The fact that you put, and it's the thing, you put something online, only 3 people like it. Well, maybe only 3 people saw it because the algorithm didn't think it was okay. Think about this idea. And I'm struggling with this too. Like, I sometimes feel guilty for not publishing or posting something on Instagram, that I'm allowing some algorithm to make me feel like I got to do all these things. For what reason? For approval, acceptance, to make my business run? I've stepped away from it sometimes. I can't play that game. I look on my Instagram, I'm losing followers because I'm not posting enough. Well, I got to start posting more. I don't want to be dictated, controlled by some algorithm that doesn't have a face or a name. Now, I want to be on these platforms to influence people. I want to influence students because they're there, right? These students are there, people are there, and I can be a platform for influence. I get that. But I don't want it to control me and make me think of my own value. No, I can't have that. And it's sad that our kids are dealing with this and we're not talking about it. Parents, can we have a conversation with our kids about social media and not just how bad it is? Let's talk about some positive things, some negative things, and some things they should be aware of. And here's the beautiful thing about, I think, human nature. Sometimes parents, we can nag less and have more impact. If you ask your kids a thought-provoking question about this stuff and you see that expression go, they'll keep thinking about it. But we keep pouring it on and makes them want to reject it because we've been pouring it on. Ask a question, make a point, and let it marinate. I mean, let it just marinate with them because they will think about it. If it's a great point, they can't deny it. They won't deny it. They may deny it to you because we nag so much. Therefore, they reject it because of the nagging and not because of the point. That's my advice. Hey, talk to your kids about these things, all the aspects of it. Don't just say social media is totally bad. Talk about the positive things that can happen, things you can learn on it, things in entertainment value, but also talk about the negative things. And sometimes, again, asking those questions can help them think it through themselves. Because here's the deal. If you want them to do something, you got to get them to want to do it. I mean, you can make them do it. And I think as parents, we should have that. You're in my house. This is what's going on in my house. But if we can go into the next level, because we won't always be there, getting them to think about it themselves and getting a practice of thinking things through. If I continue to do this, kind of like that app, if then what, right? So if I do this, then this will happen. Helping our kids to think that through. But that starts with a conversation. Conversations. To converse with your kids on a regular basis about nothing, some things, and the big things, because it really does matter. Whew. I hope that didn't feel like a rant. I get passionate about this because I want our kids to know. I want my kids to know. I'm working with your kids in schools, and I'm hearing these conversations. They're telling me all these things, and they've never thought about the opposite side. So please think about that. When you give your kids a cell phone, you're letting the loud voices talk to them more than you do. And the loud voices are always right, but silent voices can't be heard. And I kind of look at these cell phones, and as we used to look at television, when parents didn't want to be bothered sometime, we put our kids in front of TV to babysit them, right? Are we not doing the same thing with our cell phones? Are we not giving kids cell phones so sometimes we don't have to deal with them? We can keep them busy. And even I see this at a young age. You got little kids because we're busy doing something. We'll give them our cell phone to play a game. I'm not saying that's all wrong. Our kids play with games on cell phones too, on iPads as well. But we're engaged with what they're playing. We know what they're doing. You ain't downloading anything. They're not watching anybody on YouTube. Matter of fact, my kids don't watch none on YouTube unless we're watching it with them. We take the time to watch YouTube with them. I think it's important. So please think about these things, parents. This is a plea from someone who cares about your kids. I care about our community. I care about our world. And I think parents, kids want to hear from you more than you believe, and they need you more than they know. I think I said that right. It can actually go both ways. Kids want to hear from you more than you think, and they need you more than we know. Both are correct because our kids need us. We need to be there for them, and it helps us all. So, whoo, that's it. That was that. I hope that was just beneficial. I really do hope that parents, you hear my heart. If you felt like I was yelling at you, sorry, I guess. I'm just passionate about our kids and helping them make better choices, live better lives. And I want to empower parents because you have such an important role with your kids. I have an important role. We can encourage each other because what we have, the gift of being a parent, the power we have and the privilege we have is amazing. And I think we need to use it. So, hey, let me know what you think. What are your thoughts? Leave a comment if you're watching this on YouTube in the comment section. If you are listening to this on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or just go to our website, hellomrbrown.com, hellomrbrown.com, and let me know what you think. So maybe I can make a change in direction. Maybe I can say some more. Maybe you can join me on the podcast. We can talk a little more. Tell me your stories. How are you conversing with your kids? How are you connecting with your kids to help them make better choices to live a better life? That's all about, because when you make better choices, you will live a better life. So choose well. Well, I don't have my Choose Well shirt on. I have a Consider Other shirt on. You should probably pick this shirt up on the merch store. Merch link in the description. Till next time, choose well.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Peace.